To have worked at a prestigious management consulting firm in New York City and having attended Harvard Business School may seem like a very charmed life for many of us, but greater things were in store for Georgia Lee. Her first feature film, Red Doors, will be opening on September 8th in New York City and weeks later nationwide. Georgia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And of course, your first film, Red Doors, I think the funniest part in the movie involved the actor Tai Ma, which many of us remember as Consul Han from Rush Hour. Let's take a look at that clip.
There's been a mistake.
There always is.
I don't need therapy. My daughter bought me sessions as a retirement gift. I'd like to have a refund.
Well, of course. Why don't you sit down and tell me about it?
I don't need therapy.
Would you like to talk about it?
I want a refund.
Okay. I'll make you a deal. If you can convince me you don't need therapy, I'll give you a refund.
Wow, that's pretty funny, Georgia. How did you manage to snag Tai Ma to work with you on your first feature?
Oh, Ty. Well, he's an amazing actor who has been working in Hollywood in both film and TV for decades. Not to age him, but he's great. I mean, he's in every Tom Hanks movie. He was in Rush Hour.
Right.
He's on TV all the time. He was in Commander in Chief. He was in 24. He's in The Unit. He's a wonderful actor. We never thought we could get him.
Yeah.
Our film was made for very little money, very independent. But somehow the script got to him. I actually think that Jacqueline Kim, who plays the oldest sister, Samantha, in the movie, had passed the script along to her friend Frida Foshen, who plays the mother.
Right.
And they all live in LA. And the Chinese acting community
it's pretty close
in LA
in
is
LA,
very close-knit. And so they all know each other. And Frida read the script and said, oh, Ty has to read this, you know. And also the two of them had played father, mother in a couple of movies together. I think the story of Tiger Woods, they played father, mother in a bunch of other movies. So she said, if I'm going to play the mother, Ty must play the father. So she sent him the script, unbeknownst to me.
Right.
He read it and thankfully loved it. And called us up and we met. I didn't even necessarily audition him. We just chatted about the character.
Right.
And he really, Ty is very different than Ed Wong in the movie, who is much more reserved. Ty is very, very fun and outgoing, but he completely got the character on a psychological level. And I was delighted he would do our film on our little shoestring budget. And the funny thing he said was, you know, George, I love the character of Ed Wong. He's this really three-dimensional, interesting, non-stereotypical Asian American man.
Right.
And I'm so sick and tired of playing the Chinese ambassador, you know, on every TV show and every movie. You know, Rush Hour 3, I think he's playing the Chinese ambassador, Ambassador Han. So I think the idea of a character that was really different than those stereotypes really excited him. And we certainly were very, very thankful to get him.
Right. And he certainly wasn't playing the Asian model minority in this film.
Exactly. He was playing a really quirky, kind of more about Schmidt type of character. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Now, as an Asian filmmaker, are there any messages that you're trying to get across?
It's interesting. Being an Asian American female director, I think there are only two of us out there. Right, exactly. Is a strange position because I don't necessarily wake up every morning and think that I'm Asian American, I'm a woman.
Right.
And certainly when I write scripts and make movies, I just think about the topics that are interesting to me that may or may not be related to my being an Asian American woman. But I do feel like there is obviously an underrepresentation and even a misrepresentation of Asian Americans in Western media, both in film and TV. And I am interested in correcting those stereotypes, but I think I have a slightly different approach than perhaps some others, which is that I think that you cannot try and present another perfect image of the Asian Americans. All you can do is be very specific and very complex with your characters and your situations, and they must be real so that there's emotional resonance for people. So that's what we try to do with Red Doors, which is the Wong family is very much inspired by my own family. I don't know if they're stereotypical of every other Asian American family, but certainly the characters are very real and inspired by real human beings. And I think that by being very specific, somehow magically you're able to convey some kind of universal emotional theme. And one of the most rewarding moments for me when we're showing the film was a Long Island Jewish man, I think in his 80s,
Right.
came up to me afterwards and said, "Thank you so much for making this movie. It's the first time I've seen myself portrayed accurately on screen." And I thought, wow,
this
this
was
is
a Jewish man.
80-year-old man. I said, wow, why do you say that? He said, well, because Ed Wong is a man who is retired and going through this life passage of retirement, of loss of a sense of purpose, of this existential questioning, of distance from his family. He said, that's exactly how I felt when I retired and still feel. So I was so touched that the specificity of Ed Wong's character really resonated with this man, and regardless, and it transcended kind of lines of race and color.
Right. How much of the film was you?
Oh God, this is embarrassing. Samantha Wong, the eldest sister, is probably most based on my life. It's funny, I'm the eldest of three sisters, and
your little sister.
My little sister Kathy Lee actually plays Katie, the kind of spunky rebel youngest sister in the movie.
Is she really like that now?
She's not like that now. I think she's grown up much more. I think she's a little bit more mature now, but she was certainly like that a few years ago.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Maybe not to the extent that you dramatized it, though.
Well, the prank war was inspired by her. Katie and Simon have this elaborate prank war in the movie. It was inspired by her real life
is that so?
experience in high school. Yes, where she almost got expelled. Certainly not your model minority. But yeah, Samantha Wong is based loosely on my own kind of trials and tribulations a few years back, trying to figure out my path, both career-wise and in love.
In relationships as well. Yeah, very good. And then also you decided to use some of your own personal footage, right? With the little girls dancing and ice skating. Right,
exactly. So the home video footage, Red Doors has a lot of old 15-year-old home video footage woven into the film. We could have reshot it and made pretend home videos, but A, we didn't have the money, and B, I liked the idea creatively of mixing kind of fact and fiction. This documentary footage, which my father had been obsessively shooting us ever since we were kids, that this film was very emotionally inspired by my own family, and it's coming of age story that I thought was great to kind of interweave the two.
Right. So, I mean, the work was already done. You didn't need to recreate the wheel.
There was over 150 hours of footage.
Oh, okay.
So I had to sort through all of that for the right moments. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a short commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Are you worried that your kids aren't spending enough time being physically active? Please get outside with them and move around. For more information on family activities and fitness, call the Will Rogers Institute. Education for today, research for tomorrow.
Are you one of the millions of people struggling to learn a new language?
Well, thanks to our breakthrough software called Rosetta Stone, learning a new language is now incredibly easy and a whole lot faster.
I've probably learned more in the first 2 weeks than I have in months of taking language classes.
Rosetta Stone is so fast and effective, it's used by the U.S. State Department, NASA, the FBI, and top Fortune 500 companies, and is the world's leading language learning software.
It's almost like having your own person there teaching you, your own private tutor who is just very relaxed in your home with you, sitting there teaching you the language.
Rosetta Stone is the fastest way to learn a new language. And to prove it, we'll send you our amazing demo CD absolutely free when you call.
This really is a great program.
I believe that you can learn any language with this program.
So, call now and see for yourself why Rosetta Stone is the fastest way to learn a new language, guaranteed.
This holiday season, kick off your celebrations with New Tang Dynasty Television's Chinese New Year Spectacular, the theatrical destination event for celebrating the Chinese New Year. The spectacular features a cast of over 200 artists, gorgeous costumes, and original traditional Chinese music composed exclusively for the show. Since the inaugural performance in 2004, the Chinese New Year Spectacular has grown from 7 shows in 5 cities to 25 shows in 17 cities worldwide in 2006. And in 2007, the Spectacular will continue to dazzle audiences with exquisite traditional Chinese music and NTDTV's trademark large-scale dances.
It was wonderful. I liked every part of it. Every performance was great.
Yes, this is the first year that we're celebrating the Lunar New Year with this wonderful celebration, but we're going to make it a tradition.
I love them. Yeah, I love them. They was the best thing I've ever seen.
Oh, wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the first Chinese New Year's I've ever been to.
A show like this cannot be seen anywhere else. Chinese people call their country the land of the divine. NTDTV feels strongly that it has a mission to spread the heavenly culture of China, thus giving rise to the spectacular's theme, myths and legends. After the 1960s Cultural Revolution, much of the essence from the traditional culture was lost. Reviving these values and the deeper moral meaning of Chinese arts, NTDTV started this new tradition in 2004. Chinese New Year has become a popular holiday throughout the world. World leaders recognize NTDTV's Chinese New Year Spectacular as a platform to reach Chinese communities all around the world and wish them all a Happy New Year. In 2006, over 45,000 live audience members in 17 metropolitan cities and about 400,000 online viewers around the world enjoyed the show. Even in diversified metropolitan areas, teachers continue to find the spectacular a golden opportunity to teach children about traditional Chinese language, culture, and values. In addition, television broadcasts on 45 cable stations worldwide have brought these performances to millions of homes.
I want to congratulate NTDTV for putting together this amazing and groundbreaking event, which is being seen by millions upon millions of people around the globe.
None of these successes would have been possible without the dedication of hundreds of artists, more than 200 sponsors, and thousands of volunteers worldwide. At NTDTV, we greatly appreciate your support. We look forward to working with you to make the 2007 Spectacular the grandest and most enjoyable yet. Together, we'll once again see the time-honored traditions of Chinese culture flourishing in this modern world. A new year, a new beginning. NTDTV's Chinese New Year Spectacular.
Ma, where's Wendy?
Alice, 你有没有嫁人呢？
阿姨，你们好。
You are so lucky.
Alice is so behaved. My Patty's useless. Only wins these silly piano competitions.
Patty got 1400 on the SAT.
That is enough for Duke, Rice, and Chapel Hill.
Northwestern and Wellesley.
But not enough for Harvard.
Stanford.
Or MIT.
Ma, have you seen Wendy?
But now extracurriculars are also important.
I'm sending my sonny to cello, debate, and golf lessons.
Opera, singing, chess, and jiu-jitsu.
But not piano,
violin,
or tennis.
Too much competition.
Now, Georgia, that short clip from Educated, how much of that is you?
Again, this is embarrassing because a lot of it is very autobiographical. Not the dog leashes, but at that time when I was making this movie, I was very much struggling with the decision of whether to follow the straight and narrow path of being a businesswoman,
right,
doing what my parents wanted, versus following my own heart and being a filmmaker. So I did feel, I think, undue pressure from my parents, which I think is externalized in the kids on leashes and
being the obedient child.
Be the obedient child, yeah, the metaphor as the child as like the accessory almost,
right, exactly.
you know? So yeah, that was very much inspired by my own I think, frustrations at the time with my parents, and also with my own inability to make that leap of faith. Yeah.
And then, of course, the parents' overwhelming zealotry with their kids to overachieve and all of that.
Yes, yeah,
all
exactly.
Of those pressures.
Exactly. I mean, the film is very much about the, I think, high expectations that Asian American parents have for, and perhaps it's all immigrant parents, but certainly Asian American parents, for their kids to excel academically,
right?
And not only academically, but in every field, you know, in music and sports, and to have that kind of picture-perfect resume.
And the obedient child that would
And
listen
being
to all
very
that.
obedient. Yeah, it's funny, you know, I didn't even realize how obedient I had been. My father chose all of my courses at Harvard when I was an undergrad. I didn't even know that that was abnormal, you know, until I told, and even some of my Chinese friends were like, Georgia, that's very, very strange.
I would have to say that is pretty strange.
Yeah, it's pretty controlling.
Because your father was also a scientist, right?
Yeah, my father is still a scientist.
So
yeah.
he knew what he was picking then.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, I was on my way to being a doctor, so he chose all of my chemistry and biology courses. Yeah, it's funny because when I was trying to convince my parents that I wanted to be a filmmaker and that I had this plan, I had been at McKinsey for a few years, and so I created a PowerPoint document that was a 12-page plan and walked them through the whole process of why it made sense for me to be a filmmaker. And afterwards, they kind of looked at me and said, "That's very nice, but no, you're going to go to business school."
but now with your nationwide release, though, of Red Doors coming up, what do they think of your career now? Are they still supportive?
I think that after we shot half of the film actually in my parents' house in Connecticut.
So you guys have Red Doors?
We actually have Red Doors. It's a funny story.
Can you explain the significance of Red Doors?
Yeah, sure. Well, the funny thing is I'd written the script and it was on the kitchen table, and my father walked by and he said, "Red Doors. That's really funny. We have red doors." And at that point, he hadn't realized that the character is very much based on him and the entire family, for that fact. But red doors, to me, red for the Chinese community has always been a good luck color, and to paint one's doors, front doors red, is the hope to usher in and invite in good luck and harmony. And so for me, the title is a bit ironic, which is behind these red doors is a very dysfunctional, chaotic, quirky family who's struggling to find their way. And hopefully at the end of the movie, they've come a little closer to that harmony. But that it's certainly not an easy path.
Who are some of your influences? The directors that you're watching?
Wow, I have so many films that I love and so many filmmakers that I admire. Obviously, Martin Scorsese is a huge influence on me even before I had the great honor of working on Gangs. I just think he's one, his films like Taxi Driver and Mean Streets and Raging Bull and Goodfellas were huge influences on my filmmaking, especially the idea of an Italian American, kind of an immigrant in America, telling stories that were great stories first and foremost about really specific characters that happen to be Italian American, which obviously colors and informs the story. So I was very inspired by that. I have to say that I think Ang Lee is amazing.
Have you met him?
So versatile. I have not met him. I have several friends in common with him who have often said we should meet. But he's gotten so big and so busy with ever since Brokeback that I think it'll be very difficult. I would love to meet him though. I think he's tremendously talented, and I think he's tremendously versatile.
And what about some of the actors that you would like to work with?
Actors I would like to work with. I think one actor I would love to work with is Robert Downey Jr. I think he's so talented and so smart. In terms of actresses, I would be interested in working with a lot of the Asian American actors and actresses as well, and obviously that's one of the things I've been doing. Be interesting to put women like Kelly Hu and Lucy Liu in roles that are not the ones that they traditionally have been playing in Hollywood, which is the femme fatale or this kind of exotified woman, but roles that are I think
multidimensional,
real
character.
Yeah, exactly. The roles that Nicole Kidman gets these days, would be great to put them in.
That would be great if you can create that avenue for them, because I'm sure a lot of the scripts don't go their way for those types of roles.
Exactly. They go to Scarlett Johansson, Nicole Kidman. Exactly.
So. I wanted to talk about a little bit about Asian in film, particularly in Hollywood. Like you said before, we really haven't seen too much of Asian characters in film.
Right.
Lately. I mean, do you think that we have a long way to go, in Hollywood, or do you think that's going to change?
I think this is a very interesting time right now. I actually remember speaking with Janet Yang, who produced Joy Luck Club, and kind of producers from that generation, and they look at us now and say that they're very excited. They have kind of a broader perspective about this history of Asian Americans in media. And they said after they thought Joy Luck Club was going to usher in this whole change.
Right.
And unfortunately, it didn't really.
Right.
But they do say that now they see, and I certainly see it amongst my friends, that there's a critical mass of filmmakers. What we need are a lot of voices behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. And I think now we're at this kind of inflection point where there are enough producers, writers, directors, creating content, and enough actors to draw from. And again, it is, I guess, my point of view that it's not so much the immigrant story or the Asian American story that we want to tell. What is great, I think, is when we can have films that span the entire spectrum. You can have Asian Americans that are in comedies, Asian Americans in horror, in sci-fi,
and not just somebody who can just beat you to a pulp.
Exactly. They don't have to be, exactly. There doesn't have to be kung fu or whatnot. I mean, one of the reasons why Red Doors, it was important for me to cast Asians, an Asian family, rather than just turn it into a Caucasian family, was that growing up I'd always seen images of Asian American women as either kind of two extremes. They're either, this submissive geisha type, or they're this dragon lady, kick ass, which is great. But most of the women I knew were much more complex and fell, in a lot of different dimensions in between.
Right. There was a broad spectrum. It's not one or the other.
Exactly. And that's what the three sisters, certainly in my experience, are very, very much on different planes of existence. So that's what I want to communicate.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, also, Red Doors, there was some interest in doing a pilot with CBS, I believe. There was going to be a show about it. Yeah, so we were very fortunate. Red Doors won the Tribeca Film Festival last year, which was utterly amazing because we didn't have any stars, and I was a first-time filmmaker. We were thrilled to be at Tribeca. And then after we won at the awards screening, Steve Tao, who's a wonderful TV executive, actually one of the first Asian American executives in Hollywood, he saw the film at the award screening, approached us about turning it into a TV show, and helped us develop a pitch, which we pitched to CBS. And they really loved the idea of the characters in Red Doors and the family, so we worked together with them on a pilot script. And that was a great experience working with them in Paramount. But they decided that, for last year's season, they weren't doing kind of dramas, family dramas. They're doing a little bit more high concept stuff. This is certainly the years of the 24s and the Lost. Right. But we had a great experience working with them, and actually I just came back from LA. We're in discussions with them about developing another 1-hour drama along a similar vein this year. So along the similar vein of Red Doors. Yeah, a little. I'm not able to speak fully about it, but I would say similar, very similar. But it would be a drama. It would be a 1-hour drama, but the hope is to kind of work in the dark comedy, the dark humor. Georgia, where can people find information on Red Doors? Well, we have a website, www.reddoorsthemovie.com. We have an e-newsletter and all the information about the release on the website. And the film's coming out September 8th in New York City. So it'll be really important for people in New York to come out and support the film. It's opening at 2 theaters. It's opening at the Angelica Theater, which is downtown in Soho, and the Imagination Theater, which is Upper East Side, 59th and 3rd. And then in the weeks after, we're opening in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and then rolling out nationally. Well, thanks for joining us today on Asia Talk, Georgia. Oh, thanks for having me. And hopefully we'll see everybody at the theater September 8th. Great. That's all for Asia Talk this week. I'm Liz Yan. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.